I have to be honest, right in the beginning of this video, I completely disagree with this Wall Street Journal article about Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. Here is the main headline: customer ratings have become meaningless. Quote unquote, people hand out 5 stars like it's candy. Riddled with confusion and guilt, Americans are handing out perfect Uber and Airbnb scores, and they don't have to earn it anymore. Now, I'm gonna be honest, that's pretty much the entire overview of the article. They do mention Airbnb, but of course, on this video, I'm gonna talk about Uber and Lyft. And the main concept is this, is that too many people get into an Uber or Lyft, they take the ride, they get out, and they're like, boom, 5 stars. And I gotta be honest that I completely disagree that people are handing out perfect ratings like candy, because those drivers, if they get a 5-star rating, deserve that rating. And yes, you can see from this meme here that sometimes it's like, look, you get into an Uber or Lyft, there's no conversation, you get picked up, you get dropped off, you get out, no conversation whatsoever, and the driver gets 5 stars. And here's the thing, I remember learning this in psychology, and this is super important for this video. Seems random, but I promise you it's relevant. Being uncomfortable is a lack of being comfortable, but not the other way around. And yes, you could argue semantics or whatever, but I remember learning this. So let's say you walk into a room and it's super cold. You're like, oh man, super chilly, right? Or let's say you walk into a room and it's super hot and you're like, oh wow, it's super hot in here. However, if you walk into a room that's like, say, a perfect temperature, you don't walk in and say, oh wow, it's a perfect temperature in this room, right? You just don't think of it. Being uncomfortable is the lack of comfort, not the other way around. And this kind of reminds me of, I can't remember where I learned this, but the concept that any single time you're in the food service industry, I used to be a bartender, let's say you're being a rideshare driver, or let's say you're doing anything that customer ratings and the customer experience is important, you always start out at 5 stars. I remember learning this, that any driver, take like Uber and Lyft for this video now, every driver starts out at a 5-star rating and it only goes down from there. Very rarely is it the other way around. Like I said, the only reason for a lot of people that they're gonna give a driver less than a 5-star rating is if something goes wrong. For most people, they don't say, okay, they're gonna get a 1 star out of 5-star rating. Unless they're an amazing driver, then I'm gonna give them 5 stars. Most people start out saying, hey, I'm gonna give them 5 stars unless something goes wrong. Like I said, being uncomfortable is a lack of comfort, not the other way around. So if you get into a car, you and the Uber and Lyft driver don't talk, they drive normally, there's no issues, they drop you off, why wouldn't they get a 5-star rating? Nothing went wrong. And I'm gonna be honest, it really depends. We do hear horror stories. They always get headline news of, like, say, an Uber driver or Lyft driver doing something really bad. Of course, we hear these stories a lot, and I think just because sometimes it's a bit clickbaity articles, but the truth is, for 95, maybe even 99% of drivers, they're great. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. And I feel like that what I really disagree about this article is take something like bartending or waitressing, it takes something like, I don't know, any customer service industry. I'll take bartending again because I'm a former bartender. There is a lot to it. Things like conversation, making a excuse me, my voice today. Making a high quality drink, being quick and efficient, being able to do X, Y, and Z. There's a lot more elements, and as you can imagine, your tip, for example, is usually determined by the quality of those elements, right? But there's a lot more going on when it comes to bartending, in my opinion, or being a waiter or waitress, or other customer service industries. When it comes to Uber and Lyft, though, it's about picking the person up, making sure you have a clean and nice vehicle, of course, making sure it smells good and everything, picking them up, bringing them from point A to point B, and that's it, right? And I think that's a very important thing. The goal of Uber and Lyft and a person taking a ride is to get them from point A to point B. And that's why when I see these kind of articles, I feel like they're just super clickbaity, like, oh, like Uber and Lyft drivers get too many 5-star ratings, but it's like, what more do you want, right? Like for a bartender, for example, if let's say a bartender wants to give you a better experience, they might spice up the conversation. They might make you maybe a stronger or stiffer mixed drink. They might try to make you a more custom mixed drink based off what you want. They may do all these different things. But for a driver, with the goal of an Uber and Lyft being to get from point A to point B, what more do you want? This is one of those articles, I gotta be honest, that when I was kind of looking at it, I was just like, what is this person trying to get at? Because most drivers, in my opinion, deserve a 5-star rating. It's a perfect ride. I don't really know what more people sometimes want from an Uber or Lyft. Like, do you want them to give you free money during the ride? Like, I'm not really sure, because gotta be honest, especially in this day and age, most drivers really do deserve the perfect rating. Yes, there are some bad eggs out there and stuff like that, but most drivers are perfect. They do an excellent job, and most drivers truly do deserve the perfect 5-star rating.